Hello everybody. Today we're gonna learn about the requirement prioritization and its techniques. So the requirement prioritization is a very critical role for the business analyst. And when you have a bunch of requirements, you're not gonna implement everything all together, or you're gonna prioritize. You're not going to develop everything at simultaneously. So there are certain techniques that you need to utilize when you have requirements. So according to the stakeholder and end users, you're going to prioritize those requirements, and once those requirements are prioritized, you will develop that requirement and release to the production. So we're going to talk about that. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, and we're going to deep dive into the requirement prioritization techniques. So what is requirement prioritization? Well, the requirement prioritization is a metrics or charts or methods that we're going to use to prioritize the requirement. So in a project, you always have list of requirements that you're going to receive from stakeholders, and based on the requirement prioritization techniques, which are the requirement that you're going to prioritize, and you're going to deliver that to the business. There are multiple techniques that you can utilize for the requirement prioritization. So what are the benefits of requirement prioritization? Well, first of all, it helps you to focus on the requirement that is with the high values that you have. So there will be a list of requirements, which of some of them will have high values, some of them have low values, or according to the stakeholders, you need to prioritize the requirement, and you can focus on the requirement which are necessary for the business or necessary for the project. Well, the requirement prioritization helps you to reduce the risk of failure. Okay, and when you prioritize those requirement, there are less chances of that the project will failure, because quality requirement will be delivered first, and at the end, if those the remaining requirements are not that important, then you can leave it. It also helps you to ROI, return on investment. It'll help you to increase return on investment. So you can, if you, let's say you have limited budget, or if the stakeholders have limited budget, then they can prioritize the requirement, which ones to deliver and which ones can be delivered later. So the first method that we're going to look into today is the Moscow method. The Moscow method prioritizes the requirement in the four categories, which are must have, should have, could have, won't have. So you have list of the requirement, 10 requirements. So you can work with the business, you can work with the stakeholders, you can work with the IT teams that you have. Out of those requirements, you can prioritize which are the must have requirements. So the must have requirements are the features that is very critical for the business. So you will have let's say, if you take an example, if you want there is a software that you're going to develop for the withdrawal of the money, okay, through ATM. So the most important requirement for you to have a feature where you can withdraw the money, which is going to be the highest priority requirement. Then you need to show the balance. Okay, these must be the most important requirement. Third would be like you need to receive the notification of once the money has been withdrawn, or you should need to receive email. Okay, this would be the prioritized requirement. Then there could be should have requirement, like the system should be fast. The system should generate the receipt of the remaining balance and the transaction that you process. Okay, these are the should have requirements. Okay, then could have, like you want to have a requirement where you can change your mobile number, or you can change your pin. Okay, and won't have, these are some of the requirements which you can won't have. I mean, if these are there, that would be good, but it is not like that necessary. Okay, so this Moscow technique helps you to prioritize the requirement which are must have, should have, could have, and would have. So you have to prioritize the must have requirement. You can work with your team and prioritize those requirement. You can work with the stakeholders and prioritize those requirement. Well, there is another method, which is the Kano analysis. The Kano analysis is basically categorize the requirement into basic, performance, and excitement. So the basic requirement would be the basic requirement that you're gonna have once you implement the project or implement the features of the product. So for example, if you are building a software for the ATM, and the basic feature would be the withdraw money. The system should allow you to withdraw money. Okay, the system should allow you uh, to check the balance. The system should allow you to, you know, change the pin. So you have a bunch of requirements. So basic feature would be like withdraw the money, then other requirement will come afterwards. Okay, then the system should be fast. The performance of the system should be fast. Okay, so the performance would become later on, but these are the excitement features, okay, that you can have, that will give you the competitive edge. And the last one is the excitement. So these are the requirement you could have, which will add to the excitement of the customer. So we'll go deep down on these three parameters in the later slide. Okay, so the must have, these are requirements that consider essential to the product or project being developed. They are the basic features and functions at the product must have in order to meet the minimum needs of the stakeholder. Without this requirement, the product would not consider viable or functionable. So as I told you earlier, if you are going to develop a software for the withdrawal of the money, then you need to, the basic feature would be the withdraw money. Okay, that would be the basic feature without which the customer would not be happy. The next one is the performance enhancer. These are the requirements that go beyond the basic functionality of the product and add value by improving the performance, efficiency, or user experience. Performance enhancer can provide a competitive advantage for the product and may differentiate from this similar product on the market. So let's say you have two different ATM, you are using 10 different ATM. So on one ATM, if you go, it gives you very instant, result. It will, the system is very fast. In another ATM that you go, it's very slow. The system works very slow. It takes a lot of time. So you always have a competitive edge when it comes to the performance of first one that you are using. So you always want to use that one software, okay, that ATM machine. So these are the performance features that helps you to give the competitive edge. Then there are delighters. Okay, so as we discussed in the previous slide, excitement or delighters, these are the requirements that are necessary for the basic functionality of the product but can provide an element of surprise or delight for the end users. So these are the features that you could have or could not have, but it helps you to give the surprise to the customer. It can create a positive emotional response from the user and can increase user satisfaction and loyalty. Okay, as I told you earlier, if you have suppose there are a bunch of ATM banks available in the market, and some of them are not sending you the notification on the email, and all of a sudden bank XYZ send you the notification in the email. It's a delighter. You have something in your mailbox which is, you can feel whenever you have time you can go and check. So it will give you delighter. It will give you the positive response. It will give you positive emotional response from the user point of view. Okay, it will give you the satisfaction and loyalty, because if you have receiving the email, then you can anytime you can check your balance, you can check additional details if that email provides you that loyalty points, or other details like where you withdraw the money, where you went to which ATM did you go to. So these things will help you. So these are some of the delighter attributes that you can have in your product, which will help you to extinguish your product, or it will give the emotional response from the customer. Another method of requirement prioritization is cost benefit analysis. So the cost benefit analysis helps you to analyze each requirement in terms of the cost and the benefit it is going to give. Okay, so you prepare a matrix on the basis of the requirement. So you prioritize, you list down the requirements, what are the costs it is going to have to implement those requirements, what are the benefits. So you can list down all those cost and benefit analysis, and you can share it with the stakeholders, and when stakeholder looks at it, they will prioritize the requirement according to the cost and benefit analysis that you have prepared. So it is not going to happen like if you have high benefit and low cost. Mostly stakeholders will have requirement prioritized which are benefiting a lot and which are less in the cost. But there are some risky project where even though the cost is very high, benefit they will not look at the benefit, they will, if the risk is very high, they will go ahead and implement those requirements. But all in all, user or stakeholder will see the cost benefit analysis, and they will see which requirement are costing less and which are benefiting a lot. So such analysis will help you when the stakeholder has a limited budget. Okay. And there are short of budgets, then they use this technique to prioritize the requirement. So what you have to do, you have to prepare a cost benefit analysis, you have to work with the stakeholders, you need to prioritize those requirements. Another one, the user story mapping. So user story mapping is something that you can, you have all the list, you list down all the user stories. Okay. You list down what are the most important user stories, what are the less important user stories. You work with the stakeholders or product owners. So suppose you have created 10 different requirements, there are 10 different user stories. So you will work with the stakeholders, you will work with product owner, you will see which are the requirement they need to deliver first. Okay. So you will prioritize those requirement. Okay. Then there will be less urgent requirement, then there will be less urgent requirement. If you have 10 stories, you need to work with the stakeholders, you need to work with product owners. They will help you to understand which are the most critical requirement, which are most important requirement. You bring that up in your user story mapping. Then there are less important user stories, then there are less important user stories. So these are, you create a stack of the requirements, which are the important ones, which are the less important ones, which are the less important ones. Then there are value based prioritization. So this technique prioritizes the requirement based on the value they provide to the business. The business analysts evaluate each requirement with the stakeholder based on the value it is aligned with the business objective and strategy. So you have business objectives, business strategies based on the project that you have. Then you will evaluate each requirement on the basis of the value it is going to provide. So what is the vision of the project, where it is headed? On the basis of all those things, you will prioritize the requirement. You will see which are the requirement providing the higher value. Okay. You will provide those metrics, you will work with the stakeholders, and then once you work with the stakeholders, they will let you know that which are the requirement will have more and more values and which need to be prioritized. Okay. So all in all, you need to have the value based prioritization. You can create that metrics, you can work with the business stakeholders, you can work with product owners, you can work with other stakeholders, and you can prioritize those requirements. Then another method is risk and benefit analysis. So what you're going to do, you're going to analyze the requirement in terms of the risk and benefit that it is going to give. Okay. And analyze the potential risk and benefit of each requirement. Prioritize the requirement with the highest benefit and the lowest risk. Okay. What will happen on this one, you can see which are the requirement which has the highest benefit and the lowest risk. Okay. But it is not always true, because if you have some risky project or some project where you need to have requirement coming from regulatory requirement kind of things, then these metrics is slightly different. But all in all, for other projects, you can certainly evaluate risk and benefit analysis of each requirement, then you can present it to the stakeholder, then you can prioritize this requirement. So the lowest risk, highest benefit will take the priority. Impact and effort metrics will help you to understand the requirement in terms of how much impact it is going to have in terms of the customer, and what effort it is going to take. So let's say there is less effort and more impact if you implement certain requirements, so those requirements will take priority. Okay. So this way you can implement you can create this metric. If you have 10 requirements, you can analyze in terms of impact and effort, you can create a matrix and you can present it to the stakeholders, and then the stakeholders will help you to prioritize those requirements. So an impact and effort matrix is a powerful tool to prioritizing the requirement. It helps assess the impact of each requirement against the effort to implement. By using this matrix, business analysts can identify high impact, low effort requirement that should be prioritized for the implementation first. That's it for today, guys. If you haven't subscribed for my channel, please subscribe, like, and thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.